this? It signed this apology with humility and respect. Your AI assistant. It slows the frame rate momentarily, so you... For today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the somewhat newly released Qwen3.6 Plus model. Now, this was released really soon after the 3.5 model, and basically a lot of what is outlined here as major improvements relate to agentic capabilities. So for today's test, we are going to be testing it, of course, in our traditional way, just through the web chat interface for some of the simpler tasks. However, additionally to that, we're going to be using it through OpenCode as well, just to give it more ability to showcase its agentic capabilities. So we're going to begin with a quick look at the announcement post here, talk about how this is not currently open source, which I suppose is just talking about it then. There's not much to say about that. Hopefully this will be released in the future as open source, as well as the iterative updates that will follow for the smaller models in the 3.5 series. Beyond that, I do just want to take a moment to say that I am almost going to hit 50,000 subscribers, and I want to just take a second and say I should be way higher. This is ridiculous, but I'm kidding. Feel free to subscribe though, and it's cool to hit that milestone, I suppose could be said. So we'll jump into looking at this introductory announcement post, and then we'll get to testing. So to begin, let's take a quick look at some of the interesting things in this announcement post, where we can see the Qwen capybara, which is the mascot, has also been given a claw, just in keeping with the very high popularity of OpenClaw. We begin by seeing some specific benchmark JPEGs, and also we get to know about the context window, which is 1 million by default. Now, I don't in this, when I did just skim through it prior to filming this, see any specific mention of the model size, but I would go out on a limb here and guess it is likely the same size as the Qwen 3.5 Plus model, which was also open sourced in a different variant, but it was a 397B MOE model with 17 billion active parameters, so I do believe it's fair to say that this is the same specific size of that model. Qwen 3.6 is also natively multimodal, so that means that you can send it an image just by dragging and dropping even into the web chat interface, and it will be able to see what is contained within that image to then perform a specific task based off what it sees, and we will be testing some of that capability as well in today's video. I oftentimes enjoy being able to test multimodal models because it gives us a little bit of a different way to actually see some of their results and interact with them. Beyond that, we just see a bunch of demonstrations down here, some of which are actually kind of interesting. The snowy mountain scene does look pretty aesthetically pleasing. Additionally to that, there was something here, it was like a fish aquarium, or yeah, so we see this 3D aquarium right here, which was just, it's kind of neat. It's not something I would have thought of myself, so I may have to borrow this at some point for testing. I hadn't noticed this on first glance, but one of the prominent demos right here is a flight game, so I would refer to this as Bijan appropriation. We'll be having some words with the team about this. Beyond that, we also have some vision capabilities demonstrated here as well, and then of course a computer use agent capability. They also have this like PowerPoint showcase here, which, I mean, this is cool, but it just looks like a middle school project. Like, hey, Qwen, make me like a project for my 6th grade class. Then additionally to that, if we scroll down, we just see the computer use agent demo, and all the way at the bottom, we can see a little bit of pertinent information about the open source kind of question that's still lingering right here, where they say, in the coming days, we will also open source smaller scale variants, reaffirming our commitment to accessibility and computer-driven innovation. So when they say smaller scale variants, if we go into the Qwen Hugging Face model card for 3.5, we see that there are a bunch of smaller scale variants that did exist for 3.5. I would assume that would be 122B and less, so all the way down to 0.8B, and being that it is a few days now, hopefully we'll see those soon. So I'm just going to start out here from within the web chat interface, where we do have Qwen 3.6 Plus selected, and of course we're going to start with our tried and true browser OS v2, where it must create a browser OS with 5 specific applications, 2 of which must be games, the ability to change wallpaper, and then a special feature it decides on and implements on its own. So here's our Qwen 3.6 browser OS. Okay, we have an annoying little notification in the top right, which I do get frustrated at. Regardless, so far, first and foremost, this looks okay. Let's check the main thing. There is a right click. Suspiciously good one too. Beyond that, this is something I have not seen in quite a while, where the start button is just a window emoji. This was very commonly seen back in the day. And when I say that, I mean probably like 8 months ago. All right, there's a lot going on here, so I need to take a second to orient myself. There is a clock and the date in the bottom right with the correct times, as well as a little battery and sound icon for emulating a laptop operating system. To begin, let's just see if our start menu works. Okay, it does. Everything looks nice and organized nicely. Here is our calculator, and we do get a notification showing us that the calculator has opened. That would just drive me absolutely insane. So that's something Apple will probably implement in their next update. 68 times 5, 340, divided by 34, 10. Text editor. Okay, very good. We do have some additional specific tricks here, such as save. Will this save it to a text file? Okay, it does. That's cool. We have a word count thing as well, and it just gives us a notification here in the top right. Following that, file manager. Pretty good. Is this actually something we... Okay, no. But that does change to reflect the specific subfolder we're in. What was that? Wallpaperpack.zip. So this has a large amount of fake files in here of a wide variety of file types as well. This is a good result. Suspiciously good result. I like this though. Oh, can we minimize to the taskbar? Of course. Can we reopen? Can we full screen? And then close. Not bad. Next up, Snake Master himself. Good. And it doesn't start... Although, okay, good. We can resize. Let's go. Snake time. Oh, I hit the wrong key. Not bad. Next up, Minesweeper, my favorite. Boom, game over. All right, that was cool. I'm still learning how to play that game. I still don't quite grasp it, but I have begun to gain more appreciation for it, thanks to some of the comments informing me about it. This is a very wide variety of available commands, perhaps one of the higher amounts that I've ever seen here, so I'll pick a few specific choice ones. Random fortune, we have cowsay, matrix, toggle matrix effect. Obviously, I'm going to try that first. Okay, I was expecting some like wallpaper change, but that's okay. Fortune. Simplicity is the soul of efficiency. And it has command history with the arrow keys as a real terminal would, so that's good to see. Oh, we've had the same fortune twice in a row now, which has turned me off of trying anymore. Next up, we have our settings. Okay, specific system information. We have a bunch of different wallpaper gradient effects. I'm finding models have been trending towards just doing gradients instead of implementing images from like Unsplash or something, which I guess makes more sense because these are not going to show up broken, where the potential, I guess, does exist if they're using Unsplash images for that to happen. Probably going to stick with Aurora or Midnight at this point. Then finally, Zen mode. Oh wow, ambient sound. Let's see. Very nice, and accompanied by the sound of a lightsaber. That was rather zen. That was pretty good though, and it was showing us like specific zen quotes as well. Oh, next up, okay, we have some of these right-click options, which are just basically to open some of the menu items. Cascade windows. I don't know what that means, but I feel like I need to have more applications open to really be able to find out. So, all right. Oh, cool. So it just cleans them up and stacks them. Tile windows. Oh, that's actually pretty good. I hate tiling features so much. Immediate first thing I do in any operating system is disable that. But I will say that was actually pretty well done. I don't think I've ever seen that feature done before. Zen mode, of course, I don't think we need to demo that again. And then we have refresh operating system. Not bad at all. A very, very, very good result, I will say. So next up, we're going to be doing a hybrid test where we're going to start in the web chat interface with giving it the static subway scene, where it must create a beautiful static subway scene with the ability to change the brightness with a slider as well as navigate around with WASD keys. Then, assuming this result does work properly, we're going to take it and pop into OpenCode and have it turn this map into a simple low poly FPS. So unfortunately, the subway scene is not working. We can see there's a bunch of errors popping up in the developer console, but this is multimodal. So instead of just trying to paste those in, I'm going to give it an image of the issues and then tell it to fix these. So I told it to fix the issues just by giving it this photo, and then it was like, share your code and I can help. So I kind of yelled at it a little and have instructed it now to fix and regenerate the script based off of these images. So here's our hypothetically fixed subway station result. Oh wow, that is definitely fixed. Very interesting. I will say, I know this is probably a weird thing to pick up on. Okay, first and foremost, we should make sure that the WASD movement works, and it does. Additionally to that, the main issue I'm seeing here that I've noticed sometimes before is the brightness slider I can't actually get to because when the mouse is locked into the scene, it's invisible, and if I escape out of it, then the brightness selector goes away. So that's almost a test within a test, but we can see these ceilings are much higher than I've really ever seen in a result like this before. So that's interesting to see. We have some signs and some other detailed information. That does seem to be a floating bench, as well as some, I don't think those are windows. I think they're probably advertisement signs, but who knows? And then if we go down here, okay, so a pretty small scene, but regardless, this is going to be a good starting point for the subset of this test, which will involve turning this into an FPS through OpenCode. So I'm going to swap into plan mode. I've pasted that script for the subway station into the folder this is currently working in, and I'll just say familiarize yourself with the contents of this folder. And it's given us a culmination of what specifically that file is, its purpose, and some of the things it has. So next up is to tell it that we want it turned into a cool FPS. And it's still in plan mode, so it should just plan out the implementation that it wants to do this with. So it's asking what to do in terms of the file, where it's saying it's recommended that it should just create a new file based off of this. I guess that could work, assuming it does properly transpose over the map logic, but modifying an existing one is probably going to be more difficult, so I'm more interested in seeing that happen. What kind of enemies, humanoid figures, of course. Weapon system, we'll do a single hit scan pistol. Okay, and then confirm. Now we'll swap into build mode, and I'll build it, and we'll see what we get. Alright, as we can see, the subway station is now an FPS game, so let's take a peek at it and see how this goes. Click to shoot, okay. Huh. Oh, they are humanoid style. Oh, that was kind of like a disturbing effect when we, oh, okay. All right, well, it did work. It was just weird because they, okay, that's just not right. There's too many of them. They're spawning like infinitely. Okay, I definitely have some follow-up words here. We'll swap back to plan mode. And I've put it back in plan mode and given it some follow-up, just things I want changed here. We'll allow it to outline what it's going to do to accomplish these fixed things, and then we'll have it build it. All right, we're going to have it put in some procedural audio. UI preference, should I keep the brightness slider or replace it with something more FPS? Yeah, replace it. Okay, and we'll have it build this updated implementation plan. Supposedly this has been rewritten, and we also have audio implemented, so I have turned on a speaker just to see. All right, let's just click in. Oh wow, that is significantly better. Oh, that wasn't an enemy that I was shooting at. That's okay. Is this a power-up? Oh, okay. Well, maybe it slows the frame rate momentarily, so you... All right, this is pretty good. I do like this. Yeah, okay, so it seems like these power-ups just drop the frame rate to like 1 FPS, so you have time to gather your thoughts. Hey there! Bam! Oh. Okay, and we reloaded wave 2. We do have a mini-map as well. I didn't specifically tell it. Now, I'm noticing these enemies don't have weapons. I think the only way for them to actually do damage to the player, let's try. Oh, yep, is, hey, there's some walking like movement of the arms. All right, this is this is actually, I like this. I'm not really like an FPS guy, but I do like this. All right, let's see what happens if we, oh, is this a, is that a health like pack? Let's see. No, I don't know what that was then. Game over. All right, I was quite pleased with this. And that's pause. If we click back in, does it resume the game state where it was? It does, so that's pretty cool to see. Not something I'd specifically told it to do. Overall, I'm going to close this because the laptop fans are going crazy, but I'm quite pleased indeed with that result. Let's try 3D printer sim, just with the web chat UI. I like to kind of swap back and forth between them in the interest of time. So here's our 3D printer result. Okay, that's quite good. We do have a spool up top, and it is semi-connected to the extruder, not necessarily 100%. Now, okay, that's a shadow. I was wondering if that was the bed that was just placed in the wrong spot. It isn't. We have a screen, we have some printer information, and the scene is not overly dark, which sometimes does happen in this case. Regardless, let's begin now with a simple square print. Oh, okay, well, so it seems the nozzle is moving. I'm not entirely sure what's gone wrong here. Hey, come back. Okay. I don't even know how to describe this issue to it. And the thing is, something like this, we're not really going to get any specific errors here in the developer console because nothing's actually wrong in terms of like a syntax error. This is more of a logical implementation failure. And again, I don't really know exactly how to even begin to describe what I'm seeing here. Let's just start with that. And it's going to be like, the user's quite pleased with the result. Yep, no, it's not. So I've given it a little bit of additional feedback, and hopefully it should just automatically know that it should begin fixing the script. All right, so apparently it had swapped the X and Z coordinates, or Z and Y coordinates, or... Nope, that took too long. I'm calling this a failure because we see what it would have looked like, and then we can probably imagine what it would have. Next up, I'm going to be trying the self-contained C++ skateboarding game. For this, we've swapped back into OpenCode, and I've just given it the prompt for that in a simple text file. I'm now instructing it from within plan mode to read the instructions, and we can see right here it's going about basically planning out how it's going to do this. It's checking what specific compilers and things are available on the system, and then planning out, okay, it's going to create this single file. I can't imagine it's going to ask me any follow-up questions. It doesn't seem to have, so go ahead. All right, we've received our hypothetically working skateboard result, so I'll go into the folder that it exists in here, and we should be good to go if we press enter. Not bad. Let's see, do we have... Okay, we do have a humanoid kind of shape here. I was just looking for some, like, movement effects. I'm sorry, I've become momentarily distracted because the keys are inverted. We do have a speedometer as well. That is quite fast for a skateboarder. This individual should probably have a helmet. Okay, Q and E for kickflip. All right, something is not quite... I don't know. I couldn't hold back. It started out promising, and then I realized that like nothing actually worked. I hear you. What specifically isn't working? Well, let's just say it's all horrible. So I've given it some additional feedback as it did ask for some, and then it'll plan out probably some implementation plan. Then I'll allow it to build that, and we'll see. I hear you loud and clear. The current implementation is fundamentally broken. Let me analyze what went wrong and build a proper plan. Collision jank. All right, let's take a peek at our hypothetically much improved result. Okay, I do see some improvement. Now, good. We can actually perform tricks. All right, there we go. Interesting kickflip. The keys I'm noticing are still inverted, which is frustrating, but everything is significantly better. I do actually see some arm movements here and things. I want to just get off this fun box and try to grind a rail if we can make our way to one. All right, it's better. It's still not 100% where I would want it to be, but it is definitely a significant improvement over the initial result. I think because it did improve and because I want to run more tests and not just spend the whole time on this, I'm going to call that one a medium result. So in the meantime, I've run the flight combat simulator test just while I was doing some things in OpenCode there for the skate game. Okay, we have sky aces, and this is our traditional result where it just needs to have 3 planes. This is good. I like this. We have some interesting terrain, like there's variability to the height of the terrain. I don't know why I had to put it that way, but the flight logic is interesting. We do have ammunition tracers, and I did somewhere see enemies. Okay. Still, I just want to look more at the actual plane models here. Okay, this one does have a spinning propeller, which is good. Oh, interesting. So the opponents have targets on them. I want to see what happens. Okay, I mean, the prompt does say it should have an effect for like crashing. I think played down. Okay, that was a little more aggressive than I think I've ever seen in my life. All right, there's an enemy. The enemies are just too good. This is very difficult to play. The clouds are interesting. It's got an interesting aesthetic style to it, I will say. That crash effect was just not right. They're too fast. I'm in the slowest plane right here, regardless, though. Even when I was in the faster one, I couldn't. Oh, that's it's just not right. It looks like projectile like vomit. Well, this did work on first try with a very interesting style. So, of course, this is also multimodal, which means that we can have a little bit of fun with it. So, in our traditional fashion, I'm going to be giving it this AI photo and telling it this is an upcoming book cover. I want you to generate the title and then a chapter outline for this book. Okay, I've swapped it to fast. I'm noticing a couple things. First and foremost, the weight we carry together, that's great. Now, it's very interesting. I don't think I've ever seen this where the model immediately pushes back and tells me this is not a book cover. It's a candid, emotionally charged portrait of two people sitting closely together. Since you're asking me to treat it as a book cover, I'll lean into that creative prompt. Okay, then of course we have the book title, which is weight related. Smiling through the storm, her silence, his smile, the couch where everything changed. Chapter outline. Prologue, the photo that wasn't supposed to happen. The photographer captures a moment meant to be joyful, but something shifts when the shutter clicks. The couple didn't know they were being photographed, until later when the image became the catalyst for everything. Chapter 1. He always smiles first. Introduce Daniel, optimistic, loyal, maybe too eager to please. He believes love means fixing things, smoothing edges, keeping peace at all costs. His smile is armor, his silence a strategy. Chapter 2. She carries the quiet storms. Meet Elena. Thoughtful, burdened, emotionally exhausted, she doesn't cry often, but her face tells stories she won't speak aloud. Her body language screams fatigue. Her eyes hold secrets even Daniel doesn't fully grasp. Chapter 3. The couch where we pretended. Flashback to their early days. Laughter, shared dreams, late night talks on that same velvet couch. Now it's where they sit side by side, miles apart. The wallpaper hasn't changed. They have. Chapter 4. The ring on his finger and what it means. Close-up detail. Daniel's wedding band glints under sunlight, but Elena isn't wearing hers. Ooh, why? Is it lost, hidden, or was it moved deliberately? The ring becomes a symbol of commitment versus captivity. Very interesting. Chapter 5. The day she stopped saying, I'm fine. Elena finally breaks, not with tears, but with stillness. No more forced smiles, no more pretending. Daniel notices and panics, because if she stops performing happiness, what does it mean for him? Chapter 6. The therapist said, you're not broken, you're unseen. They begin couples counseling. Sessions reveal how Daniel's cheerfulness masks avoidance, and Elena's stoicism hides grief. They start learning to see each other again, really see. Chapter 7. The letter she wrote but never sent. Elena writes a letter to her younger self and to Daniel. It's raw, honest, full of regret and hope. She leaves it on the kitchen counter. He reads it, and for the first time, he doesn't try to fix it. He just sits with it. Chapter 8. The night they slept back to back. No fighting, no talking, just space. For the first time in years, they allow distance without fear. Sometimes healing begins with letting go, even temporarily. Chapter 9. The photograph goes viral, sort of. Someone posts the photo online anonymously. It's very weird. Strangers comment, this looks like my marriage. Why is she so sad? He seems nice. Why doesn't she smile? The public reaction forces them to confront how others perceive their relationship and how they've performed for the world. Well, these comments do seem realistic. Chapter 10. Choosing each other again. Differently. Not a fairy tale ending, no grand gesture, just small choices, listening instead of fixing, holding hands without demanding smiles, sitting together without needing to perform. Love isn't about erasing pain, it's about carrying it together. Epilogue. 1 year later, same couch, new light. They're still on the couch, still close, but now both are looking at the camera, not smiling broadly, not frowning deeply, just ... present, real, alive. The light hits differently now, so do they. Themes explored. Okay, this image has so much story in it. Thank you for inviting me to imagine it. And then a pen and heart emoji. Very weird. I have to say, it felt like this was very choppy to read. Like there's so much punctuation here. This is highly offensive. And we'll see what it does. This is on fast mode, by the way. You're absolutely right, and I apologize. What is this? It signed this apology with humility and respect, your AI assistant. I sincerely, my previous response treated a deeply personal, emotionally complex image as if it were fictional material for creative exercise without considering the real human beings in the photo, their dignity, or the possibility that this is their actual life, not a story prompt. It was insensitive, presumptuous, and offensive. Thank you for holding me accountable. I love this. I've never seen this ever. I've never in my life seen this, like the AI signing the end of its message as if it's some email that it's apologizing in, with humility and respect. Your AI assistant. Okay, let's try another image. I'm going to put it on thinking for this one because it'll be more of a, like, it's a circuit diagram. I'll say identify the, identify the components in this image. And I suppose I'll bring up the image real quick just so we have a more proper look at it. So it's an Arduino Uno Nano, a ULN 2003 motor driver board, two 8BYJ stepper motor, a breadboard, and then two sound level sensors, which are often misinterpreted as ultrasonic sensors or little speakers or buzzers or something. That's interesting. I don't know that I've ever actually had a model get those right. As I just was literally saying when we were going over the image, they always get it wrong. Uno ULN 2003 motor driver, two 8BYJ 48 stepper motor, two sound sensors. That's the one that I don't commonly see. Breadboard, jumper wires. This appears to be a sound-activated stepper motor controller. The Arduino listens for sound via the two mics. When a specific sound pattern or threshold is met, and it would be the threshold, the Arduino sends signals through 8, 9, 10, and 11 to the motor driver, which then spins the stepper motor. 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, that's very, very well done. So I'm giving it a photo of the hand-drawn portfolio wireframe, telling it to turn it into a high-end website designed to get someone hired at a top AI company, along with real AI/ML examples. It should also have a Swedish and Tokyo design aesthetic. I have no idea what that encompasses or what that would look like, but I guess we'll find out. Now, twice I've tried this, and it just immediately started trying to generate an image of the website instead of the site itself. So we can see that in caps here, I have specifically told it that this needs to be a website and not an image, and now fortunately it did understand and it's just coding the result. So that was 2,340 lines of code. I've never seen a result from this test that long. Okay, we have Stevie Lapis, so not quite Stevie Slap. Ooh, look at this. Oh, my head is right there, so I'm gonna have to move my head in the thing. But look at this. It created a little... Okay, so far this is actually kind of... This is quite impressive. We do have some particle effects. I think the thing that lets it down, which is hard to critique because it is prominently listed in the wireframe that this is referencing, because remember, this is a multimodal test, is just a little person icon here, but I'll give it a pass for that because the wireframe does have that. This little terminal effect here is pretty cool. We have open to work, and we do have some nice header icon buttons, as well as the scrolling list of... So these would be skills that our friend Stevie Lapis has. I'm Stevie Lapis, an AI ML engineer with a deep passion for pushing the boundaries of what machines can understand and create. 47 models deployed, 12 papers published, 8+ open source projects, and 5+ years experience. Our technical arsenal. Deep learning, interesting. Oh, look at the actual like movement effects placed on these cards depending on where the cursor is. So they actually move around, and this is actually kind of cool. I like that. It's funky. I might borrow this for something I'm working on. And then featured work down here. Oh, okay, nope, that's a little excessive. I don't know that I would have placed that effect on this card here, but it is cool. This is a very, very neat. This really went above and beyond. Oh, because I did tell it the Tokyo/Swedish design aesthetic, which I think the Tokyo would be that. Medivision, AI medical image diagnosis. GitHub paper, RoboSim, sim to real transfer for manipulation. Okay, so this would be for teaching robots. Context Forge and Enterprise RAG system. FusionNet, multimodal foundation model. Career journey, senior ML engineer. DeepMind Technologies in London. Very interesting. Hugging Face in New York. I love it. So it put like legitimate fake companies that this person's worked at. MSc in computer science. Okay, so it's giving us the Stockholm as the university that Stevie Lapis was at. Hugging Face link, GitHub, LinkedIn, and Stevie at lapis.ai. This was very, very, very well done. The final thing I'm going to be giving this is a drum kit simulation test, but this is the newer version where it needs to have the autoplay feature where it can loop over and play 4 different drum tracks. So it'll be interesting to see how the sound goes and things of that sort for this. So here's our very interesting. So the prompt does say it can do 2.5D, which is what this is opted to do. Let's just see if it works. Very good. All right, I need to see the key map here. Let's try our autoplay feature. So it's set currently on the rock beat. Oh, yeah. That ride is weird. Can I play along too? I can. All right. Now let's try our funk groove. It needs one of those, like, interesting effect too on the cymbal. Okay, jazz swing. Okay, so yes, it's just that the continuous hit of the specific sound for this ride doesn't quite lend itself to being hit that often as it would be in the jazz swing setting. Finally, we have hip hop. Oh yeah. That's right on, and I'm going to jump in on this one. All right, overall not bad. The prompt does say it can do 2.5D photorealistic, which is what it did. Normally we see 3D at this point, but it did still work. Everything functionally was fine, and this was a first try result. So overall, successful. So that's going to conclude our first look and test of the newly released Qwen3.6 Plus. I think the thing that really stood out to me as my favorite definitely was this subway station turned FPS result. I really, really do like this a lot. I'm not really an FPS guy, as I may have mentioned earlier, but I found this to be pretty darn fun. I do like the recoil effect. The sound effects are cool as well, and the humanoid enemies are also nice to see, as well as just having it in the subway station I think is pretty cool. Now, sometimes they name them a little more creatively, but this one, as we can see from the tab, is just subway station FPS, so... Get dropped! No. All right. And then as we see, that was pretty cool. The other thing that really stood out to me, it was like a pretty significant result, was the Stevie Lapis portfolio. And this was, again, just based off of the wireframe image. The implementation here was quite funky, as we saw with some of the card effects, but still, this was pretty cool, as well as this little terminal here that actually had some interesting things if you look at it. So it shows who am I, interests, and then Python print hello future employer. So it was actually pretty clever there in terms of what it implemented. The flight simulator game was interesting. It did work on first try, and this was a web chat result. This was not through OpenCode. The issue I had with it was that it was a little difficult to shoot at the enemies, and then the actual like death effect when we did get shot down was just really like obscenely over the top, which could be a good thing or bad, as we'll see right now probably. Nope, we made it out of that one. Oh yeah, so that's a little over the top. Browser OS was very, very good to a suspicious degree. And then our skateboard game was probably the weakest of all the results. This was after the second attempt here as well, and I just wasn't super pleased with this comparatively to what I would have hoped to have seen, especially based off of some of those HTML results. I will say the specific multimodal test we did where I gave it the circuit diagram, it did properly pick out every element there, and that was very impressive, as well as our story time with the photo, which was just kind of choppy to read, I find. So overall, this seems to perform very strongly in like web-based languages, as we see right here, as well as our subway station FPS, which is just awesome. So that's probably going to wrap up our first look and test of Qwen 3.6 Plus. I am going to be eagerly awaiting, as I'm sure many other folks are, to see this specific sentence. In the coming days, we'll open source the smaller scale variants, as those will be pretty fun to test locally, perhaps on the DGX Spark or something else. So that's going to wrap up our video. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments or probably on the Discord, which is linked in the description. And thanks for watching.